some people will expect that perhaps at some point, if people see that they're not the ones chosen, they most likely will abandon ship, or perhaps, give half a thought to it. But, perhaps let's jump in the gun, because for some people, this is just a coalition. It's not a political party yet. Are you hoping to register it as a political party?
It's been represented as a CUPP. That's the Coalition of United Political Parties. I believe it's going to be that. It's not going to be PDP or RAPC or XYZ or anything of the sort. It will be a coalition.
Mm-hmm. How soon do you hope to approach INEC to make it that party you're hoping will be voted for?
As soon as it's possible.
What more needs to be done? We know that a memorandum of understanding has been signed, but what is the next step?
I have never been, I've never boasted of being a student or a good student of the Constitution. There are people that will be responsible for that.
But personally, what are your expectations?
My expectations is to be able to choose someone that will represent the ideals of this country, and for us to be able to move in the Committee of Nations with the right type of leadership. That's my expectation, and I'm sure that we'll get there.
Have you received any messages from, I want to believe that, of course, you'll have friends in the APC. Have you received any, any reactions from your friends in the APC? Are they bothered by the emergence of this coalition?
Right now, the APC is in government. This is the government of Nigeria. My government also. I have friends. Some poo-poo the idea. Some don't think that this will last, just like you said earlier. But there hasn't been much of any rancor.
Well, there was a lot of brave speaking yesterday. We heard from the chairman of the People's Democratic Party. We heard from members of the APC. We've seen people really excited, so to speak. But then, people are wondering whether or not people who have formed this coalition will have the tenacity, the grit to be able to work out the terms of a coalition. In the meantime, do you see this coalition playing the role of opposition? Should we expect to hear more from them, for instance?
There's a lot of difference from what happened to the APC to what's happening to this coalition. Now, you had NPDP. People left PDP to join the APC then. Now you have the NPDP coming back to this coalition, and then a break...
Our APC?
Well, a reformed APC breaking away, coming into this coalition also. So you have a double-barreled desertion of sorts. Now you have so many other parties, SDP, the Labour, Accord, and a slew of smaller parties. What I think will happen is that you're going to have two parties of almost equal strength. But the way things are going, this coalition is attracting a few more parties than the APC. So there may be overwhelming force on one side to make sure that they will have a winning coalition.
But are we sure that all the parties, are all the parties really in this? Because just this morning, we saw one of the reactions we saw on the front pages.
Yes.
Was this one from New Telegraph, which said AD dissociates itself from MOU, even though we see that the Alliance for Democracy was one of the signatories. Do we expect to see more of that? Some parties saying no. We did not ask the leadership of our parties to do that, or that's not all of us, or that's... Is this something you expect to see as the days go by?
Sure. There are about 120 parties in Nigeria now. So one saying that it wasn't part of it...
doesn't make a difference to you?
It doesn't make a difference.
You don't expect to...
No, it wouldn't be 100%, I'm sure.
Okay, so what precisely would this coalition be promising? Because for some people, they believe that the problem is not so much with government. It is how government is structured and how it's, in some instances, they believe that it has been hampered generally by how it's been structured. Is this coalition looking in that direction, or do they think it's principally with government?
They're looking at everything, whether it's government or the structure of government, governance, and the way governance is delivered to the citizenry. They're looking at everything with a fine-tooth comb and coming together. There isn't much time. That's why you have so many of them that will all come together with their own papers, and we'll see what the distillate will be.
How soon do you think that it will be registered as a political party?
As soon as INEC allows.
At the local level, how do you see it transpiring? I mean, how do you see it trickling down? Because yes, it's one thing to be able to come together and be able to form or to get one presidential candidate.
Yes.
But then how do you think this is going to play out at the different levels, in local politics, say governorship elections?
You've got to remember something. PDP still has the largest number of assets in the nation. It has the largest number of ex-governors, ex-senators, ex-assemblymen, ex-local government chairmen, or even councillors. So there's a trickle down, all the way down. And a lot of the parties have regional parties also. So that shouldn't be a problem.
We have a number of tweets coming in, reactions to Mr. Fashakin's take, and also to the take of your new coalition. Somebody says that Mr. Fashakin is getting angry, and this is not new. This happened in 2015 when PDP was losing out. This is one of the characteristics of the losing party. That's something from BTG. Now, looking at Ike, Mr. Ike, he says, now you understand what's going on here. PDP wants to use a few other parties to baptize themselves into power again, not knowing that our Mumu don't do. Then you also find this one from Osita Dimma Varistus. It says, the merger for me is a catastrophic mixture to grasp power from the APC. Look at all of them. Are they not the same old people who had the golden opportunity to change the country in the past? These are some of the reactions that we're beginning to see in the wake of the emergence of the coalition. Some people are optimistic. Some people think, this is just same of the same. How do you react to it?
Well, sometimes when you're in the middle, in the center of a storm, you cannot see around it at all. You cannot see in the periphery. But I want to go over some of the things that Mr. Fashakin went over. We now have about 65% of our population as the quote-unquote youth. A lot of them will not understand anything that Mr. Fashakin was talking about all the mnemonics that he mentioned, the ANPP, CPC, EDD. A lot of them will not understand that. He seems to be unnecessarily condescending and living in the past. There is a need right now for information to be able to get from one end of the country to another. And
just quickly, he talked about a merger. He found that, he said they're about to learn before 2011 or after 2011 that a coalition will not cut it and it needed a merger. Are you learning anything from, how the APC was formed?
That's semantics. Seriously, it's semantics. Whether it's a merger, a coalition, I mean, there's a difference between them both, but this particular coalition is working together to be able to see a better Nigeria tomorrow. And I think for those that the gods have condemned, they first turn mad. You can see how angry and how mad he's getting for no reason at all. We're working to see a better Nigeria in place, not just for us, but for our children. Now, I don't see anything to, I don't see any anything important to anything that he has said at all. It's just going back and back on what has happened.
Well, some people imagine that this debate will get heated in the coming days, and
Yes.
we'll definitely keep our tabs on it, because we believe that there will be more to come from the coalition and the memorandum of understanding that was signed yesterday. But we have to thank you most kindly for coming on Sunrise Daily. Dr. Tafawa Balewa is co-chairman of the National Intervention Movement and also a principal party to the MOU of the Coalition of United Political Parties.